Nick Darr here, getting ready to shoot another episode of Business Over Brew, which wouldn't be possible if not for our great sponsors at Roberts Motors. You know the Roberts Motors name. They've been around since 1949. Definitely a name that means quality. We certainly appreciate their support of not only this show, but all they do for the community. You talk about a local business that gets it in terms of supporting great community causes and just being involved in the community. The guys at Roberts Motors, Sam, John, the rest of the crew there, they really understand what it means to be a good business citizen in the community, and they've done that for a lot of years. If you're in the market for a vehicle, you know the car industry has been a little upside down lately in terms of inventory. They're starting to get more and more vehicles on the lot. Starting to see some new Broncos out there, so go check that out. A little more pre-owned inventory as well. They're certainly always in the market to give you a great deal if you're looking to sell your vehicle as well. Now's a great time to do that. And maybe something we don't talk about enough is just a really great top-notch service center at Roberts Motors. If you need work done to your car, you need tires, oil change, any kind of service work, Roberts Motors is really a terrific place to consider. And they would just appreciate the opportunity to do business with you, whether it's buying a vehicle, buying your vehicle from you, or getting some work done to your vehicle. Check out Roberts Motors on Albee Street in Alton or at robertsmotors.com. Welcome to another edition of Business Over a Brew, where we talk business with some of the Riverbend's most interesting and influential business people. Pleased to be joined in this episode by Jake Calvert of Upper Deck Roofing. Jake, thanks for coming on the show. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll do a quick cheers. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and where'd you grow up? You from the area?
Yeah, so I grew up in Jerseyville, Illinois. I live now in Godfrey.
Okay.
I started Upper Deck Roofing about 3 years ago. I've been in the roofing industry for probably the past 10. I've got a 15-year-old son. He goes to Alton High right now. Big baseball fan. That's kind of where the name Upper Deck came from. It was baseball reference, as well as, you know, we're working up top on your roof, the upper deck. So
Sure.
That's kind of where that came from.
Totally makes sense. So where'd you go after high school? What did you do then? Because
I got an associate's from Lewis and Clark.
Okay.
I finished at SIUE. It was back in 2004. After college, I left and got a job at a linen company. We were doing mats, uniforms, that sort of thing. I was a truck driver, making deliveries. I got promoted from there to sales. Wasn't real happy with the corporate world and the pressure of, you know, what did you sell today kind of thing. A buddy of mine called me. He was working for a roofing company, and he said, "Hey, I got this great company. Why don't you come over and meet the owner and see if it's a good fit?" And that's what I did, and I never looked back. You know, roofing is where I want to be, you know, until I retire.
what is it about that industry that appeals to you or appealed to you then?
In the beginning, and still true to this day, it was the freedom. Doing something different, working outside. You know, I don't see myself as a guy that wants to sit in an office.
Right.
I'd rather be out on a rooftop, or, you know, you get those beautiful spring days. You know, I want to be outside.
Do you remember what your very first job was?
Oh man, yeah, I remember. So in roofing, you get very little training. They kind of just throw you to the wolves. But it was a guy. He had some missing shingles. I think it was O'Fallon, Illinois. He had met me. He signed up. It was like a $15,000 roof, and I remember at the time I couldn't believe that guy was buying. I knew very little about roofing that day.
Right.
And at the time, it was surprising that, you know, with no knowledge, I could sell a $15,000 roof. But there, I started building on that knowledge and learned more and more.
I don't know if everybody is, but as somebody that doesn't really like getting on a roof, I'm fascinated by people that don't mind it. So talk about that. Has that ever been something that was just something that came naturally to you getting up there? Or?
So as a kid, heights didn't bother me. And then I went many years without climbing up on a roof again, or climbing up high in trees and stuff like that. And when I first got back into roofing or climbing up on top of rooftops, it was a little scary at first. But quickly, one-story roofs became no issue.
Right.
And you kind of build that confidence, and then you get more comfortable getting up onto 2 stories. And but still to this day, there's certainly roofs that I am not getting up on. without some safety equipment or a bucket lift or something like that.
See, that makes sense to me that you would want to put that, because a lot of times you see steep roofs, they seem way up high, and you don't see some of those safety precautions going on. And I'm like, gosh, put something on there.
Yeah. And today I do have a drone. So if it's something too tall, too risky, I'll just fly a drone up. We can get photos, and we come back to do the job. We'll have our safety harnesses and that sort of thing in place. But for the original inspection or the first inspection, drone is pretty handy.
Now, what are you looking for on an inspection when you go out to look at a roof?
Several things. One, just the overall condition of the shingles. How old are the shingles? How long have they been there? We're looking for missing shingles, loose shingles, shingles that are popped up, anything that's going to allow water entry or moisture into that house. We look at how the roof's ventilated. There's a lot of poorly installed roofs out there, unfortunately.
Right.
There's a lot of good ones too, but there's a lot of bad ones. You can always tell when the homeowner tried to do it themselves, or they got their buddies together and they did it. And there's certain things you see that it wasn't professionally installed.
I would imagine too, a lot of times you'll see, even if a company does it, especially if you have maybe a big storm in the area, you get all kinds of roofing companies flocking to town that maybe don't care that much about the quality of their job.
Yeah.
So it's probably best to work with somebody who's in the area and been doing it a while like you.
Right. Yeah, local is always good. And the main thing is the warranty. You get a storm chasing company that comes in, they might have great intentions, but if you put on 1,000 roofs, a couple of them are going to leak.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the nature of it. But you want a company that's based here, that's going to stand behind their word, versus somebody that came in, did a bunch of work and left. Because now you really don't have much of a warranty on that.
Talk about the warranty in the industry, because I know there's really different types of warranties. A lot of people don't understand, I feel like, because of a 30-year warranty, let's say. But a lot of people just think, well, I've got 30 years of warranty. But can you explain a little bit of some of the intricacies of that, maybe?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Everybody's under the impression they've got a 30-year shingle or a 30-year warranty. Most commonly, we replace roofs around year 20. Mm-hmm. That's when a roof's really starting to show some age. You want to replace it before you have the issues, before you have the leaks and the interior damage, before you get the mold and that sort of thing. But yeah, the 30 years, basically what they're selling you on a warranty. That shingle isn't necessarily going to last 30 years or 50 years. A lot of times manufacturers now are saying 50 years. If you don't register that warranty with the company, if you don't use a preferred contractor, if you don't use the right parts and pieces, like say you use, for example, an Owens Corning shingle, but you don't use their starter, you don't use their underlayment, you don't use their ice and water shield, or any of that stuff, they're not going to stand behind that. Mm-hmm. They're going to come out and say, hey, you used our shingle, but you butchered everything else. This isn't properly installed. For me personally, I am a preferred contractor with Owens Corning. There's extended warranties available. Your standard off-the-shelf warranty is going to be a material-only warranty. So say you have a manufacturing defect, they'll come out and replace the shingles, and by replace them, I mean set them in your driveway, and it's up to you to install them. The extended warranty is labor and material. Mm-hmm. So there's a manufacturing defect. Now they'll come out, they'll set the shingles in your driveway and say, hey, pick a contractor, and we're going to pay for that too. So that's the difference between the standard and the extended.
I think in your business, not only do you have to be knowledgeable about the work and how to install a roof and properly do it and what to look for to see if a roof needs replaced, but also you have to be maybe a little bit of an advocate for the homeowners too, with maybe the insurance company or the manufacturers or the suppliers. So talk a little bit about that side of it too.
The insurance side of things is totally different ball game. So every insurance company is going to be different. Every policy is going to be written different. A lot of homeowners will tell me, well, my neighbor across the street got his roof paid for, but they denied mine. And the thing that they don't realize is one, we've got two different houses. Mm-hmm. They might be facing different directions. The storm came in from the west, and this one's facing this way, and that one's facing that way. There might be different tree coverage. So maybe your house had a tree hanging over it that slowed the hailstones down. There's a lot of factors. The biggest factor is probably the adjuster themselves and the company. One guy might have, Allstate, one guy might have State Farm. There's two different companies, two different policies, two different adjusters, looking at two different houses
Right.
on two different days. Just because your neighbor's roof got paid for doesn't necessarily mean yours will. But no, we work with all the insurance companies out there, and my goal is just to help facilitate the homeowner, the adjuster. I'm there to help. It's not I'm not there to help fight your insurance company. I'm there to help partner with you and your insurance company, so we all come together to get this situation resolved.
What have been some of the biggest, maybe the biggest surprise for you in owning and operating your own business?
Probably just the hours that goes into it.
It's a lot.
Yeah, it can be. There's a lot of late nights and long days that, I knew it was coming getting into it, but it seems to, just keep going and going and going. And the bigger we get, the more work is behind that.
Sure. Right. So you've been operating and you've owned the business for pretty much most of that time has been during the COVID era. Talk about how COVID has impacted the business.
So yeah, we launched in April of 2019, shortly after COVID hit, and COVID was actually a really good thing for the construction industry.
Right.
Everybody was at home. Prior to COVID, people would say, well, I get off work at 4 o'clock. Can you meet me at 5? Or can you meet me on Saturday or Sunday? Or everybody, but then all of a sudden everybody's working from home.
Yeah.
And you come whenever
Right,
you
yeah.
want. So it made my life easier. And then also while they were home, they were trying to take advantage of that time and get some things done. Some home repairs and maintenance items that they typically wouldn't have time to get to.
Right. Maybe had a little extra cash too from tax benefits, stimulus money. So
and
yeah.
everything else.
So I know it's weird to say that it's been a good thing for your business, but
Yeah.
it has been for some. So
It certainly had been. Right now it's a little bit different feeling in the air, with the fuel pricing and everything else that's
Yeah.
going on. But I think this is going to be another great year for us.
yeah, it really has. You mentioned fuel, but the price of a lot of things I would imagine in your industry have gone up. Correct?
Yeah, I think since COVID hit, we're seeing about a 30% increase as of right now. I think that's probably going to go up to maybe a 50% increase from what it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But
That's tough to explain to a homeowner too. I would
can
think
be.
that, especially if it's maybe the second roof they're putting on the house. It's like, well, it wasn't that
Yeah.
much, when we put the first one on. But,
I had a guy reach out to me a few weeks back, and he said I had quoted him a roof. He sent me the estimate. It was from like 2016,
well, yeah.
and I was looking at it. It was like $5,500, and I recalculated everything up, with today's pricing. It was like $85, about a $3,000 difference.
Sure.
And sent it back to him, and I didn't get the work, but I'm sure that he was kicking himself for not doing it the first time around.
Right.
And unfortunately, I don't see pricing coming back down.
Yeah. It seems like once they establish it up here at a certain level, that it's unlikely that they're going to move it back down to where it was. So I agree with you. What advice would you give to somebody thinking about starting a business, or somebody out there who's running a business right now?
Definitely just go for it. That was, for me, the scariest part was taking that first step. It's something I thought about all the time for probably a decade. And then I finally took that first step, and there was no looking back. And it was not near as hard. Yeah, there's a lot of long hours and a lot of stuff you got to put up with, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm glad I did it. And, if somebody's hesitant on doing it, I'd say just go for it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Right. Good advice. So, Jake, thanks for coming on Business
Yeah,
Over. We
absolutely.
appreciate it. And
Thank you for having
thanks
me.
for all you do in the community, and glad to have you doing business here. So,
Awesome.
thank
Thanks,
you.
Nick.
Also, thanks to our host here at Great Rivers Tap and Grill. If you get a chance to stop by here for dinner, I highly encourage you to do that. And thanks, as always, to our sponsors at Roberts Motors as well. Cheers.